Hey everyone, my name is Dillon Gonzalez. I'm the editorial director for GeekVibesNation.com and also a co-host of the Home Dance Film Festival podcast. And I am thrilled to be here with you once again for a very special Video Addict new release roundup. Now, this is our first Video Addict post the holiday season, and it's for that very reason that I am doing this solo, because I'm usually with my colleague Michael Vaughn, who we love very much. We have some great banter and talk about some great titles, but during the holiday season it can be a little bit difficult to connect, and people are traveling for the holidays, and instead of taking a few weeks off, which maybe I should, but I didn't want to leave you hanging during this holiday season. If you did want to learn about some new releases, I wanted to give you at least a small breakdown of some of what is on the horizon or what has recently come out, just to tide you over until Mike can be back in our good graces. But I'm just going to go over a small assortment of titles that I'm very excited about, and without further ado, I'm just going to jump into it because there's a lot of really good stuff in here. My first title I'm going to talk about is from Shout Factory. It is a 4K UHD upgrade of The Man in the Iron Mask. This is Leonardo DiCaprio's first starring role post-Titanic, and this is a tale based loosely on the Alexander Dumas source material, who wrote like the Three Musketeers. This deals with the some aging musketeers played by John Malkovich. You got Gabriel Byrne, Gerard Depardieu, and Jeremy Irons. And so this is kind of them in their kind of twilight years, protecting King Louis the XIV, I believe, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. And he's kind of a vicious ruler. He's a ladies' man, and there's all kinds of stuff, like he's not feeding his citizens, so there's kind of like a little bit of a revolt starting to bubble. And at the same time, there's this titular Man in the Iron Mask, who is a mysterious presence that's been locked up in this prison, who I won't spoil if you don't know the source material, but I will just say that it is this man's identity that kind of kicks out off our story of this royal intrigue with King Louis XIV, and whether or not the Musketeers, specifically Gabriel Byrne's character of D'Artagnan, whether he will betray his allegiances, even though he doesn't completely agree with what the king is doing. Will he actively engage in rebellion against this king? And is it the best movie? No, I think it's kind of in the middle. It's decently entertaining. It's swashbuckling. It gives you kind of what you want from the genre. It's kind of a little bit narratively messy and glossy, like Hollywood, but the performances are fun. Leo, he's done better stuff since then, but he does a pretty good job. And actually, I won't spoil that, but he does a good job in his roles, and the Musketeers, they also do a decent job. Probably the most interesting thing, in my opinion, was Peter Sarsgaard has a very small role as John Malkovich's son, and I never thought about it, but having their vocal, like, their voices are so similar to one another, I think it's inspired casting to have them play father and son. There's a good amount of action, some puerile humor here and there, some romance, some tragedy. There's a good mixture of genres within this, but overall, if you kind of like that swashbuckling musketeer energy, this is pretty nice big budget adaptation with some good stars, and it's fun enough. As far as the 4K is concerned, this was previously released by Shout on Blu-ray about 5 years ago, I believe. I never got that release, so I'm glad. But I'm glad to have the 4K now, because this comes from a 4K scan of the original camera negative. It looks very nice and vibrant. It has really rich colors. This is in Dolby Vision. It has a really great clarity, even compared to the Blu-ray that's also from the same source that's included in this. I think that's a nice bump with the 4K upgrade. And this has DTS 5.1 audio, a good number of special features, new or all from the previous Blu-ray, but like at that time new and old. So there are some newer interviews, like with the production designer and stuff, that range like 8 to 19 minutes. Then there's a couple of older featurettes as well. and as well as a commentary from the director that's moderated by a film historian. So overall, good assortment, special features, pretty decent, really great audiovisual quality, and pretty fun movie if you like the stars or that type of genre. It's pretty fun. So Man in the Iron Mask, it's a good time. Next one, it's a box set. This is from one of our favorites, Arrow Video, and this is Savage Guns for classic westerns. This continues their western tales. I think the first was Vengeance Trails, and which I've covered previously. I didn't get to cover their second one, but I do have that in my collection, and I believe this is the third volume. So this is a limited edition. So you get 4 films and a booklet, which I'll kind of show off here. I won't go too deep into each movie, but these are all pretty entertaining. So it has a fold-out poster, which I'll show off here. One side is pretty much identical to the front cover art, and then I'll show you the reverse side. So here is here, and then kind of like comic booky almost here. So you have that, and that same is on the booklet here, which has a lot of great essays and photos and everything, stuff about the transfer. And then the most important part is the movies themselves. So you have I Want Him Dead here, which is a pretty entertaining. All of these are revenge tales, basically, to one degree or another, whether revenge from a past slight or something that happens within the movie. This one happens at the beginning of the movie. Our lead, his sister gets brutalized and murdered, and he seeks out revenge, and it's just a classic revenge tale that's executed very well, and it's a good movie. It's good production design, a little bit of a downer, not as much of a downer as this next one, which is El Puro. So this is another revenge tale. This is about a man who seeks revenge after a woman that helps him kind of get on his feet during a desperate time gets attacked by some men, and he kind of has to return back to this town to seek revenge on her behalf. And this one, I like this one. It is, I won't spoil it, but it is very much a downer, but it is a very good movie. And this one actually has all the movies have English and the original Italian audio, but this one has a longer cut. There was an English export that's been around for a while, but then there's a longer version that's constructed of some added scenes that haven't really been seen as much. It runs about 10 minutes longer. That's included. That's in Italian and some Spanish. So, because that's the only elements that were available, but it's worth checking out. Just it's a little bit more of a cohesive picture, and even though audiovisual wise there's some downturns with the additional footage, but I think it's worth checking out. The next one is Wrath of the Wind. This one actually isn't as much of a straight revenge tale. This is in terms of like spaghetti westerns, it's kind of, and then the film historians argued this on the special features, that it's kind of like the most dubious of whether or not this can be classified as a spaghetti western. It's more so like a political tale set in the West. It's about an outlaw hired to try to suppress a labor movement that's bubbling. So it's hired by some labor people to try to tamp this down, and he kind of has like a change of conscience once he gets into the mix. And it's an interesting labor dispute drama that has Western elements that I think fits in well and breaks up kind of the themes of this box a little bit in an interesting way that doesn't feel like you're all watching the same movie, which I guess this last one also would kind of break things up because it's Lucio Fulci, and he is a very brutal mastermind, and I think it's a tough movie, but it's one of the best. It's for the apocalypse. You have Fabio Testi in this, who's a great Italian actor who's uh, been in a ton of other era box sets that I've covered, but he's a very interesting performer, and this whole tale is it's a really good one. It's about a band of outlaws, I guess you can call that's the easiest way, who avoid this kind of raucous night where a bunch of people get killed because they are locked in this jail cell, and all these people get out of jail and go kind of like on this adventure across the country trying to get to this town with one another. And along the way, they begin to bond, but then they also run into a lot of different fraught elements, and there's even one bit of cannibalism at one point, which with Fulci involved, I don't think that's completely surprising, but this is a very brutal tale. There's attacks, rapes, like I said, cannibalism, all kinds of people just dying, and double crossing, and all kinds of stuff. So for the apocalypse, it's one of the more interesting tales in this, like I said, because of Fulci, but it is one of actually my favorite films that I've watched from him. I know he's more so known for straight horror, but his work in the Western and crime genres is very interesting, because he's not afraid to still inject some horrific moments within these different genres. It is a very strong ending to this set that is overall a very good one. And so yeah, these Savage Guns, these have all been restored from 2K restorations. I believe El Puro is the only one that's been restored from Arrow. Specifically, the other three have been restored by outside entities, but they all look pretty good. There are certain moments where you can see that there have been lesser elements that were being used, that maybe things aren't as consistent. But if you've had the previous Western box sets, I think you'll know that this is a pretty consistent quality overall, and it's pretty much the same as those. And whenever there isn't an element that is as top quality as you may want, it is usually indicated before you start watching. There'll be like a screen that tells why these elements maybe aren't in the best shape. But so Arrow, they warn you whenever things are kind of iffy, which there's another title I'll be talking about later that does the same thing, not from Arrow but from a different company. A lot of great special features on this. There's an audio commentary provided for each film. There's an introduction from a film historian that usually runs about 15 to 20 minutes provided for each film. Great interviews with some of the cast members, filmmakers, film historians, visual essays. You can see all of this broken down in my review that will be coming out probably pretty soon after this video drops on geekvibesnation.com. But there's a lot of great special features and that you won't want to miss. So Savage Guns, a really good effort from Arrow Video. I have a pair of titles from Imprint Films, who I've talked about in the past. Point of clarification for Imprint Films: they are an Australian-based company who release region-free discs, so you can import these to the U.S., and they will play in U.S. Blu-ray players, so you don't have to worry about that. But you will have to import them either from Imprint directly or a specialty boutique retailer like Diabolic or Orbit or someone like that. And the first one is The Man in Half Moon Street, which is an interesting 1940s kind of film noir, more like suspense mystery movie that has elements in common, I would say, with The Portrait of Dorian Gray. This is about a man who has, similar to that, found a way to prolong his life, and he has been around for like 100 or so years. But he has done this through more of a scientific method in this one, and he has a colleague who helps him out with this. And they're at a point where they do have to kill people in order to prolong their own lives, and he is at a point where he is about to potentially marry a woman here played by Helen Walker. You'll see, and He is being investigated by police, and while trying to get the necessary elements to get this serum that will help keep continuing to prolong his life, when his assistant is also having some moral quandaries at this point in life. He's been doing it for so long and kind of getting burnt out, and all of this is just kind of coalescing into this really interesting suspense thriller that has horrific moments, moments of romance. Overall, I think it's a pretty solid movie. I enjoyed it. It's something quite different for this time of period. Whenever I'm mostly just used to a lot of melodramas and film noirs, it's a little bit different, and I enjoy that. This does come from a 2K scan that looks very nice. There's still a little bit of blemishes here and there, but it's been cleaned up very well. It does come with a commentary track from Tim Lucas, who gives some great context into this movie and kind of history. And overall, audiovisual wise, very happy with it. Looks good. Nice additional supplemental feature. And this has not been released anywhere else in the world on Blu-ray. This is a worldwide debut, similar to my next title. So if you are interested, this is the only way to get it for now from Imprint Films. Similarly, worldwide debut of Diamond Head, which is a Charlton Heston movie set in Hawaii. Charlton Heston plays this this powerful figure who is about to run for political office, and who he fancies himself a little bit progressive, but whenever it's put to the test, whenever his sister announces that she wants to get married to this native Hawaiian boy, it becomes a kind of a melodrama about like racism and just kind of all of these family dynamics within this island, and like while like separating class structures and everything. So Charlton Heston at the same time has also fathered a child with this this Asian woman, and he's kind of being a little bit hypocritical and dealing with her and wondering what he wants to do with this development whenever he's trying to run for office, and then trying to deal with his sister and her potential marriage to this Hawaiian boy. And there's a lot of melodrama mixed into this, and this is a pretty substantial movie lengthwise. This is an hour and 47 minutes, and Heston does a very good job. I think some of the racial stuff that's being depicted and talked about is not the most nuanced, but I guess you wouldn't expect it. Probably if this was the 62. There's some of the main Hawaiian players are white people painted up with makeup, which is not good. But the background, a lot of the background actors are of Hawaiian descent or Asian descent, depending on which character we're talking about. But pretty good melodrama. It's not my favorite, but there's some good stuff within this I think is worth checking out. I'm a little bit disappointed in the Blu-ray, it's not through any fault of Imprint. This is a deal that they've done with Sony, and anyone who knows about Sony knows that they do all of their own restoration work. So any label that does a deal with Sony, they have to take whatever they are given, and apparently Sony has not done a lot of work on this title. It doesn't look awful, but there are a lot of nicks and scratches throughout that if Imprint had maybe been given the chance to do the 2K or 4K restoration, it would look a lot better. This is an older master that looks good, passable, but not great. And the audio, it sounds pretty good, better than the visual. I just wish Sony would have put a little bit more care into this title. But if you are a Heston completist, this is the worldwide debut of this, and there are no special features either, so that's a little bit disappointing that you can't even supplement the maybe slightly lacking video quality with some supplements. There's nothing here. So Diamond Head, pretty decent melodrama especially if you're a Charlton Heston fan, but no, a little bit disappointing. Back domestically, another one of our favorite labels from this year is Radiance Films and their new release of Elegant Beast, and there's an OBI strip which I will remove so you can kind of see how the artwork looks in total. So here it is without the strip, and yes, and then there's also the reversible cover art, which I will turn around real quick. I believe this movie is from the 60s, if I'm not mistaken. It's a Japanese movie about like it's about post-war life in Japan and class structure. It's about a family in particular who is basically a family of con artists who are trying to hustle in different ways. Like it's about a family patriarch who basically schemes and encourages his kids to kind of scheme as well, and like his son has stolen money from his work, and his daughter has been kind of pawned off to this rich man who's basically supposed to be her sugar daddy. And there's all kinds of issues within this family of like deception, and all of this takes place in basically a single location in this apartment, and with occasional people visiting them to kind of confront them with some of their deeds or questions about what they've been doing, and or people searching, like law enforcement searching for different people. It's a really interesting, riveting drama, just seeing like a character piece of just seeing how much these characters have been impacted, especially by this patriarch who has these certain values that have been instilled in these kids, and how this impacts their lives, and they're like both romantically or with like on the wrong side of the law, all this type of stuff. Very interesting, very good drama that's different from a lot of the like martial arts stuff or gangster dramas that I talk about. This is more so just like an interior drama that I really appreciated and really liked quite a bit. This Blu-ray is fantastic from Radiance Films. This comes from a 4K restoration that looks very nice. There's not a lot in the way of nicks or scratches. This has been cleaned up impeccably. Sounds great. There's just the original Japanese audio. This comes with a couple of interviews that range from 15 to 17 minutes. And then there's also a video essay that runs about 12 minutes that also kind of digs into some of the thematic elements of this movie that kind of gives you a richer explanation that you can also get in the booklet as well, just to kind of round out your appreciation of this piece. So overall, Radiance Films has rescued yet another overlooked gem. This is one of probably my favorite discoveries of this week. So Elegant Beast is definitely worth checking out. If you've liked other releases from Radiance Films, they keep it up the quality here. My next film is from 88 Films. And this is an interesting cop drama called The Inspector Wears Skirts. If you checked out the In the Line of Duty collection earlier this year and enjoyed that, I think you would probably enjoy this as well. It's a pretty decent drama or action drama with little bits of comedy about some women who are trying to join are recruited to a police force, and see how they stack up against the men. And yeah, you do get some of the normal like men versus women, like the women being underestimated and then kind of showing up men in certain regards. And the reversible cover art is what is the main cover art here. So there are a lot of this is like kind of a Police Academy-esque, not comedy-wise, but like an actual Police Academy exercise for a good portion of the movie, and then at the end of the movie is them kind of putting what they learned to the test with these thieves that they try to take down, and them proving themselves against the men of why they are, if not superior, at least equal to them. And there's a lot of great action, there's some dated elements throughout whenever you do have kind of this man versus woman dynamic. But overall, it's a very entertaining movie, and I think anyone who appreciates this genre, or like I said, like police action genre, The Inspector Wears Skirts is a good one. This Blu-ray from 88 Films does come from a 2K restoration from the original camera negative. It holds up very well, looks very nice. It's a solid presentation. This does come in the original Cantonese as well as an English dub for those who do like the dubs, they're there, but I prefer the original audio, which I think that's what I would advocate for. There's a commentary track from Frank Jing, and then a couple of interviews that are 17 and 16 minutes long. So nice package from 88 Films. So this does come with a fold-out poster here that you can see. This is just both versions of the cover art that I showed you here. So that was the reversible, and then here's the main artwork. And then you also, in this one, get a booklet here, and that's Cynthia Rothrock on the cover, who is one of the interview subjects on the disc, as well as the director's the other one. So nice package from 88 Films, and this is a fun discovery. Another interesting discovery. I wouldn't say this is fun. It's a more challenging. It's from our friends at Arbeos Films. This is Life is Cheap, but Toilet Paper is Expensive, from filmmaker Wayne Wong, who probably is best known for like the Joy Luck Club or Chan is Missing, which was his debut. This is a, here's the booklet here. You can learn a little bit more with some essays and stuff. This is a very controversial, this initially received an X rating in the early 90s, I believe this was when this was released. It's a tale about a man who is being hired to transport a package from America to Hong Kong, and he's kind of like this man who's like clad in this black hat, who is actually played by the co-director and co-writer, who is interviewed on this disc as well. So this is partly kind of like this almost fish out of water tale of like exploring Hong Kong and all the kind of eccentric personalities that are within it, but then this is probably more so like a commentary on Hong Kong society at the time and how people were treated, like class society and like class structures. But it has a very interesting, not always conducive structure to to feeling good about things, because there's a lot of like aggressive material or like bloody. There's a little bit of like pornographic stuff like in the background of certain scenes, but more so it's like there's some disconcerting elements like regarding like there's repeated imagery of like hands being cut off or different. All of this is kind of like metatextual commentary on Hong Kong society, but a lot of it is just very aggressive and including like there's some like scatological stuff that might really repulse some people if you have weak stomachs, and there's also some stuff with animals. If you are not good with like animal violence, it's probably not good to check this one out. It's an interesting film. It's very challenging, and I'm not sure I completely get all of the layers, but what I do have viewed I think is very interesting, and I'm really looking forward to checking it out again. Probably after I dig into it a little bit more, like do some research and learn more about some of the society maybe Wong was critiquing, but overall it's an interesting film. This comes from a 4K restoration. This is actually a version of the film that was completed more recently by Wong to insert some scenes that he wanted in there that wasn't originally in there, and some of those scenes, the insertions of like Hong Kong life at the time, are not up to the level of the 4K scan of the others. There's kind of like almost like standard definition insertions throughout this, but overall the main feature, it looks very nice, and the audio is like mostly English, but then there's some like Mandarin, I believe, or Cantonese woven in throughout, as well as some other languages. This does come with 2 interviews. One is an interview with Wong solo that runs about 24 minutes, and there's another 30-minute interview with his screenwriter, co-director and co-screenwriter who plays the titular, or the not titular, but the main character. And those are both new great interviews that kind of gives you some of that context I told you that I might need for a second viewing. That is definitely worth checking out to kind of get what they were going at. I think this is widely considered to be a challenging, controversial film, but it is one worth checking out if you're a cinephile. My next films I had not heard about at all, and I was very intrigued by these. This is OSS 117 collection, which you have Cairo, Nest of Spies, and Lost in Rio. This is two films with Jean Dujardin, directed by Michel Hashabanavichus, who directed him and directed The Artist. And this was two films that they had made prior to The Artist, won Best Picture in the early 2010s. These are two spy satire spoofs, you could say, where Jean plays this agent who's kind of a doofus at some times, but also does actually end up saving the day at points. Bernice Bejo, who does star in The Artist alongside Jean, is in Cairo, Nest of Spies, and then Lost in Rio is another adventure where there's another kind of co-lady that he kind of like romances. These are fun, they're kind of silly, and they're very clever at points, but like some of these are pointed spoofs of, like, very obvious spoofs of certain spy genres, but then there's some clever stuff going throughout, and they have kind of a heightened world that they live within. Like some of the backgrounds are like very obvious, like some of the old rear projected like footage and stuff, so it kind of like has a out of time personality about it that's really fun, even though this was made in the 2000s. But they look very nice, and these HD presentations also look very nice. They're very consistent, and they really capture the aesthetic of the film. And overall, nice collection of special features. Each get a commentary from Jean and Michel, the director and star, and then you also get some making ofs for each film, deleted scenes for each film. There are bloopers, like gag reels and stuff, trailers, other small things like with Lost in Rio, you get to see some of the world premiere footage from I believe it's France. And this also does come off. I did not take this off yet, but if you're curious, that is you can kind of see the back there. But this comes off easily. I just have not taken it off. But overall, really good collection from Music Box Films for two films I had never heard of, but are fun spy spoofs. Going into a few different titles from Kino. There's some real fun stuff within this one. The first one is a old dark house type movie, House of the Long Shadows, which is probably most well known for being a late career effort, which brings together Vincent Price, Christopher Lee, and Peter Cushing. Desi Arnaz Jr., yes, of Lucy and Ricky, their son, stars in this, and then you get those horror legends coming in different capacities. The Arnaz Jr. plays a young writer who kind of makes a bet with his publisher about being able to write I'll just say a high quality story, but in 24 hours, and he spends the night in this old dark house for inspiration, and then things kind of hit the fan, and you come to learn about what's going on, what hidden mysteries this manor holds, and whether, like, what is happening. I won't spoil it, but the ending is a little bit disappointing compared, like, it was kind of a misdirect that I didn't think completely worked. It was fine, but I was enjoying what the movie was offering up until then. But it's a fun movie, more so for the classic icon team up that happens within it, in an actually meaningful way, where they tried to bring together some of these figures in the past in less successful ways. There's actually some meaty scenes between some of these people, so I appreciate that, especially since it wouldn't be long before Peter Cushing would succumb to cancer, I believe. This was previously released on Blu-ray by Kino in 2015, I believe it was. With a lot of titles from that time that they've been doing recently, this has been re-released with a slipcover, but more importantly, a new encode. So this was originally released on Blu-ray 25. This is the Blu-ray 50, so there's more room for things. Not a new restoration, but more room for it to breathe. So it might look marginally better, which may or may not be enough for some people to upgrade. But in addition to that, you also get an entire new hour and 49-minute documentary on the making of this film, which is pretty fantastic. And then you also get two commentary tracks and a 15-minute interview with the director. So really great assortment of special features for this one. And this slipcover looks pretty nice. So if you are a fan of any of these icons, or if you like old Dark House movies, it's worth checking out. I'm going to do my next two pretty much simultaneously because they're from the same director and have kind of the same vibe. We have Eyes for Icarus and Milliards de Dollars, which translates roughly to $1,000 billion. These are both paranoid thrillers, and that are also, as I said, like one of the other titles was one of my favorites. These might actually be my two favorites from this year or from this week. So Eyes for Icarus, it is a loose and telling or reimagining of the the Kennedy assassination and fallout, and so it involves the assassination of a political figure, and there's a actor or a investigator played by Vez Montand, who takes it upon himself to not accept the results that have kind of been gotten by this commission, and he goes down this rabbit hole of like figuring out whether the gunman who was accused actually did do it, or in like what machinations led to this assassination. And it's really great. If you love paranoid thrillers, this is fantastic. I loved it so much. And this kind of goes similarly with this one, $1,000 billion, where this one you have Patrick DeWare as a journalist who is uncovering almost All the President Men style, a conspiracy that of like what starts off as like a small story of a politician who may potentially be in a compromising position financially, like accepting bribes, kind of goes up into the upper echelons of power of like corporations, and it deals with elements of like corporate greed and corporate like putting the thumb on the scale of different financial institutions on whether people who get more and more power, as more and more corporations get power gets consolidated, and how that kind of, this was back in the 70s, so this is even more prescient than ever, but it's fantastic. And yeah, both really good movies from the same director. Both of these are from a deal with Gaumont. These are not listed as being from new restorations, but they, I believe, were both probably restored in recent years. They both look very nice. Natural, really good film grain, nice colors, no real damage to speak of. Each film is giving a audio commentary track. One, $1,000 billion has just Sam Deegan. Eye for Icarus has Sam Deegan and a conspiracy theorist, I guess, but not like a conspiracy, but like a historian on conspiracy theories, which is pretty great. But both of these fantastic movies, really highly recommend it if you love French cinema or conspiracy thrillers. My next title is Kill Butterfly Kill from Neon Eagle Video, which is a new label, I believe, in association with Cauldron Films, if I'm not mistaken. So you have a 2-disc set here, one which has the original cut of the movie Kill Butterfly Kill, as well, which has been restored in 4K, but that only the English dub export has been restored in 4K. The original Mandarin version is included in standard definition, and there's also a recut version that has been restored in 4K. called, I believe it's American Commando 6, that has some additional footage that was kind of taken from different movies and inserted into this movie. But Kill Butterfly Kill, this is your kind of classic rape revenge tale. It's not as exploitative as I thought it might be at the beginning, because they the actual initial rape, there's not like a lot of like unwarranted nudity. They do return to this woman's rape like pretty much each time she what this tale is her going after the men who have perpetrated this against her. There's like 5 of them. So each one they're trying to kind of take down, and each time you get to a man, you see like what he specifically did to her. But each time, like, she's fully clothed, or not fully clothed, but like bra, and it's not like overly exploitative, which this doesn't pull its punches with the violence necessarily, because there's some really gnarly stuff in regards to violence. Like there's like a high heel going through a neck at one point, which is pretty good. This isn't a feel-good film by any means. It's kind of dark and depressing, and it's not one I'll probably return to very often. But if you're comfortable within that genre of like rape revenge like films, it's decent. It's not my preferred genre. And this release from Neon Eagle Video, this is one of the ones that I was talking about where they say up front that the elements that were used are the best surviving elements, but that does not mean they are great. The 4K restoration only takes you so far. This looks as good as possible. There's a lot of damage and fading and like discoloration throughout. This is just the best that they had. It's passable viewing, but there's a lot of damage here, so I just wanted to like keep expectations in check. This is not a beautiful looking movie by any stretch of the imagination. I've already talked about how there's a couple different cuts of this movie. Other than that, there's just like believe like one commentary track on the Kill Butterfly Kill version, the US export version, and then you have like maybe some trailers and stuff. So not too much in the way of special features, but a couple different versions of the film to check out if you're interested. And my final film is another classic I've been interested to check out again. I picked out the Blu-ray when it came out. I believe in 2018 or 2019. This is from Sony, and this has been a 4K re-release of School Daze from Spike Lee. This was his follow-up to She's Gotta Have It right before Do the Right Thing came out. And this is a really interesting one because whenever you think of Spike Lee, you may not automatically think of musicals, but this does have like a musical element to it. This is set at a historically black college, and this one's really interesting because pretty much the entire cast are made up of black actors, and this is dealing with a lot of really important issues of race, but not through the same lens that maybe you're always expecting, like white against black people. This is a lot of race within the black community of like, there's stuff with like regarding light skin versus dark skin, and then also class issues of like people who attend college to like working class people, or just different dynamics of just what it means to be black and how people treat each other. And this is set in a world like fraternity and sororities. There's also that kind of dynamic. So you have Lawrence Fishburne is kind of leading the cause of like the kind of like the quote unquote militant black man who is calling for he's protesting against apartheid in Africa and trying to get that kind of going on campus whenever all opposition is against him. He's trying to get that kind of movement going, and that's kind of his ex-best friend Giancarlo Esposito, who probably people know best from Breaking Bad or Mandalorian or all kinds of stuff. He's great. Also Do the Right Thing. He is kind of more so the opposing voice, and then there's also sororities like with Tisha Campbell, and then you have Spike Lee himself playing a new kind of undergrad who's getting into the fraternity world and learning about all these different, he's like kind of like the audience surrogate to these different dynamics of these different characters. And all within this, there are quite a few musical moments, including the hit song "Debut," which got a resurgence a couple years ago when Glenn Close was dancing to it on the Oscars. But there's a lot of other great musical moments, and there's it's part college campus movie, part like important social message movie, a musical, comedy, all kinds of stuff. It's a little narratively messy at points because Spike is wanting to tackle a lot of different themes within this, but overall, it's very good. It's a really good movie, and I'm glad this got the 4K treatment because it looks very nice in Dolby Vision. It has new Dolby Atmos audio, which sounds really great, especially with the musical moments. You want those to sound rich and full and really nice. It ports over all the special features from the previous Blu-ray. That was an anniversary release, which includes 2 commentary tracks, a couple of different featurettes that range from 19 to 28 minutes long, so there's some really good stuff there. Assortment of music videos, a lot of really great things that any fan of Spike Lee will not want to miss out on. The previous Blu-ray is not included in this one, so you had to be 4K capable, but be sure. I would say the visual difference, like in detail, is not night and day, but I do really appreciate the refinements from the old Blu-ray that I own to the 4K. It looks very nice, and I think Sony did a really nice job, which you can pretty much always count on them. And that is my final title. Bookending with 4K releases. It's a very exciting release week full of great boutique labels releasing all kinds of stuff. And I hope that you enjoyed this little shorter than usual video addict that I'll be coming at you again next week with a similarly sized video addict on my own. And then next week, my colleague Michael Bond should be returning to get back to our normal dynamic. But I really appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments. Be sure to share this with anyone that loves physical media that you think would like to see this. Make sure you're subscribed and like this and all that kind of stuff. It really helps the channel. We really appreciate it. But most of all, I really appreciate you. And until next time, enjoy these movies.